So we're continuing where we left off last week.
I'm sorry, everybody, that I was yapping.
And this is the reason. We were mentioning reasons why spouses in general, even if they're not doing so great, things they should think about in order to remember that they're in this together and things should work out. And last week we mentioned that husband and wife are essentially one unit, they're one entity. And it's something that a person has to remember, that at the end of the day we're stuck with each other. So they could be stuck with each other and have a terrible time, they could be stuck with each other and have a good time, but the fact that we're together means that let's try to make it work. This is in a lot of things. A business partner is this way. You can tell this to your kids, I'm the mom that you have. There's no other choice, so let's try to make this one work because we're not going to go looking for other children or other parents. All such situations. A person's a roommate with somebody for a year, for 2 years, for 10 years. These are things to bring up. The second is what's called in Hebrew Hakarat Tovah. Hakarat Tovah is essentially recognizing that you should be grateful to somebody else. Gratitude. It's not exactly gratitude. There's a saying, I know it in Hebrew, it could be that it comes from another language, and it says, Bo sheshatita mimeno mayim, a well that you once drank from it water, al tizrok bo even, don't throw a stone into it. And this goes to say, if you once went to a certain university or a certain high school, and then you've heard that things have deteriorated since you were there, but you were once upon a time one of those people who drank water from that well, and it's best just to hold your silence and not throw rocks at it, because you once were a beneficiary of that institution or of that place. The same is true with people. There are people that once upon a time used to be our friends. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're not necessarily friends anymore. What a person should think is, once upon a time, this person did a lot of good for me. They owed me something. I owe them something. I owe them a debt of gratitude. The very least I can do is not harm them. If I don't want to be their friend, okay. But to harm them, that's already a different story. We had this situation recently in this community. There was a rabbi I asked you to pray for. This rabbi, once upon a time, I learned a lot from him. And in recent years has made a lot of my life miserable. And recently was unwell, and what am I going to do? I'm going to tell a person, chas v'shalom, a person did good for me. I owe them a debt of gratitude. So today we're not friends anymore. That's fine. But a person, pray for them. That's what we can do. That's what we have to do. But
you don't have to talk badly about them, and you don't have to denigrate them.
That's called hakarat tovah.
And that I believe in. And I had a situation like this that Marilyn knows very well. And I was always the lady. Am I right?
Sure.
And was I asked a million questions about it?
Yes.
And I always said.
But this is important. It's a basic. See, when a person doesn't know how to have gratitude, people like this. They'll borrow things from you. You did them favors many times, and then one time you need them.
They're never there.
They're not there for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't exist. They
That's
have a new friend. They have a new thing. They have a new life. And what that feels is, wow, that's the kind of person who doesn't know how to share gratitude. They can't tell you thank you for the things that you've done for me. Yeah. That person is very dangerous.
They can sometimes tell other people, but they'll never tell you, so that you can get the satisfaction of actually knowing it direct.
So here, I'm not even asking for a thank you. Rather, just don't harm me. I once did good for you. When our communities started over again. So there's one person who I can tell you was very, very difficult in my rabbinic career to be good to. But I went out of my way to do anything I could for this person. This person's mother passed away at 3 o'clock in the morning in another country. I got a phone call. I came out of my bed. I put on my pajamas. My wife got out of bed. We came with our kid, Al-Khana. We went to their house. We stayed with them. We spoke with them. My wife watched their children. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we all went to work the next day. I'm not asking for a thank you. What I'm asking, though, was when our communities went the other way, why did it have to be you who threw my stuff into the street? Why? Where was that? You don't have to like me just to despise me that much when I didn't do any harm to you. There are a lot of people in your life that will do that to you, and they come along that way. And when you're in a relationship with a person, this person you're with them. The very least you can imagine, and it's not nice to talk about this in a normal way, but in times where you have no other good things to think about what has this person, done for me. I want to read to you from the list. A parent here is talking to a husband, not because it's exclusively a husband's problem, but because clearly more often than not, he sees husbands not having the proper appreciation, whereas the wife does. That's why he seems to have written this to the husband and not to the wife, this specific paragraph. But it could go both ways. So when I translate it, I'll translate it in both directions. This person helps you literally with everything that you do. You go to the grocery store, they help you. You come home from work and they have stuff in the car, they help you unload the car. You need to go to an event, there with you. You have to go file paperwork in a government office, they help you out with that. Just the very simple fact that this person helps you with a lot of things, you would treat the random stranger on the street nicer. And they've never done anything for you. How much more so the person who lives with you, who does do things for you. So it's not going so great right now, but they do for you. Where's that gratitude? This next line is an interesting line. It's borrowed from the Talmud. The Talmud Masechet Brachot is talking to a man who is having a hard time appreciating his wife. And one of the rabbis said, at the very least, you should know, Matzilato min hachet. She saves you from sin, from doing things that are wrong. You understand? People in the world have all kinds of desires and needs and wants, and at the very least, on a physical level, those desires are being taken care of by another person. Is that not something to say thank you for? Is that not something to have gratitude for? She saves you from machet. He saves you from machet. Vehi chevrato. Chaverato. Sheino bodedum shumam. If you talk to somebody who's in a good relationship, any kind of relationship, and ask them how it was before they were in that relationship, you'll very often hear about loneliness. But being lonely, but being alone, so you could be with a lot of people, but still be lonely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are a lot of friends, and you'll be at Shabbat dinners, but nobody knows you, nobody cares for you, there's nobody there at the end of the day. That feeling of loneliness is very sad. And the reason why many people bother to get into something, why did I even bother getting in a relationship with them? The reason you bothered, perhaps, was because the other alternative wasn't much better. Sometimes the loneliness, it's better to be with somebody than with nobody. That's a calculation that many times people make. We perhaps live in a strange generation where the calculation is the opposite. Sometimes people would rather be with nobody than with anybody or somebody. That's an interesting calculation.
I had just the opposite happen when I was married. In the last year of my marriage, or last couple of years of my marriage, I felt totally alone within my marriage. It was like there was a physical body there, but was no one home.
I can definitely
Emotional
relate to that.
detachment?
Yeah.
I just spoke to somebody who was divorced.
Emotionally,
Yeah.
He was gone.
And I said, what do you think? And he said, if there was a blessing in the Torah that said, Baruch Ata Hashem, good riddance, I would say, thank God, I am done. But the truth is, what you're saying is actually not unique. Unique as in you've been through it, but
right.
I read a study that 85% of married couples are emotionally divorced from each other.
Yeah.
They literally don't do anything together. It's like two people living in parallel universes, but the paths only cross on what is necessary, not on any emotional level, not on any caring level, not on. It's a crazy number, 85%.
That's all.
That's a
That's
huge
I
number.
believe it.
That's
I believe it.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
That is
Well,
a very
I think
No.
people get
That's
married
true.
for the wrong reasons.
Oh, very good.
I
I believe that maybe intentions are good, but a marriage, like anything else, requires maintenance and
And
two
work.
people who care
Absolutely.
enough about it.
You
to
have
make
to
it
work in
Yeah.
it. It doesn't
And-
matter how many years you marry.
But it's not just work. If one person wants to work on it and the other one
No,
couldn't
it's-
care
it
less,
has to
so
work
it's
both.
like talking to the wall.
Yeah.
They tell us so like there's a guy,
Exactly.
60 years he's been praying at the Kotel. So CNN comes to interview him. So what do you pray for every day? I pray there should be peace in Israel. I pray there should be peace in the world. I pray that nobody should be in financial troubles. Everybody should be taken care of. There should be no hungry people, no homeless people. So after 60 years of praying at the Western Wall, what do you feel like? He's like, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. This is
That's very funny.
sometimes a person's in a relationship and literally they're talking to the wall. There's nobody home. There's nobody there. And God forbid, this isn't a, hey,
Oh, you're so late.
oh, you are late.
I know.
Who wants to be a designated babysitter for the rest of the class?
Hello, hello, goodbye.
Where are the keys?
Take a
I'm-
look and
okay.
next.
What?
Take a look quickly over here
Okay,
on the other side of the
oh.
carriage.
She's gonna be home soon. She just has a 45-minute class she's giving.
Oh, okay.
She'll be back. That towel is over there, please. Thank you.
No, but you're right. It takes two to tango. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you say. It takes 2. The thing is that most people
Look at
do
this.
not
Look at this.
look at that smile at your daddy.
Look at that.
Yes. Most people do not take the time to spend it together just to talk. Everybody is, this one's busy doing this. Even if you have your children and they're out of the house and it's just the two of you, you're always busy doing something. And one has to find the time to sit and talk together.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is very important. I can tell you that probably for the last year and a half, my husband and I get up an hour earlier every day. For the simple reason being is that I will make coffee and I will come downstairs and he'll come downstairs. The two of us sit at the dining room table and we talk for an hour.
That's amazing.
You should know how radical this concept is, by the way. It's radical. No, it's a healthy thing. It's just radical.
Yeah,
And
well,
And I find that it has helped us as being one, and of course with your classes, it's just brought everything even closer and better together.
this
And I mean that.
communication doesn't only have to be about the world, the important things.
No,
It's just a
that's-
simple,
yeah,
how are you, what's going on, how's everything going, what's...
right.
Yeah, I mean, when I was getting divorced, I said, divorce is from 1, marriage is from 2.
Oh, give me. Do you
And
have a rag or
we
something?
went to,
Here.
quote unquote,
Thanks.
well, we went to some counseling together. And they asked me, what's your problem? I said, there's no communication. I don't know what his problem was. He just didn't want it to be in the communication, right? But yeah.
So there's a rabbi named Rabbi Yecheskel Abramsky. He was a famous Ashkenazi rabbi in Israel. And Rav Cheskel Abramsky would come home every day from yeshiva, and there was always a crowd of people waiting to ask him for advice and for blessings and for all kinds of things. And they'd be waiting already for an hour or 2 hours, however long they'd be waiting in line. He'd come home, he wouldn't even say hi to them. He would walk right past his living room, go into the room with his wife, lock the door, and for half an hour they would just talk. How are you? How's your day? What did you do today? Where did you go today? Just small talk. After half an hour, he would come out and talk to everybody and say, Rabbi, I know we're waiting. Now you add another half an hour to our waiting. He said, my wife is more important than you. And I have to talk to her. And I make it every single day. At the very least, we're going to talk this much. And the ironic part of the whole story, Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky's wife was a very big tzaddiket. She was a very woman. And she was very organized, very meticulous. She did the same exact thing every single day. Every day. She prayed at the same time, woke up at the same time, ate at the same time, ate the same thing every day. She was very orderly. And so really, the conversation was the same every single day. But he said, more important, also show them that they have to be in a relationship where people talk to each other. Talking is essential.
Rabbi David Aaron said the same thing,
Well, we both drank from the same well, right? Oh, Hashem.
Unbelievable. Do you get his things that he sends out?
Sure,
I
absolutely.
love them.
You know what's sad is if you go into a restaurant and
Yes.
you sit there
And watch
and
the
you
people.
and you look at the couples that are there. There are those that don't say anything to each other. They sit here, they sit there.
No, they're busy with the phones. No, it's the phone.
Even
No, this
before,
go,
even
even
before.
before
She's
the
saying,
phone.
forget the phones.
Forget
They're
the
just sitting
phone.
there,
Yeah,
nothing to do with each
They're
other.
Not
not.
the phone. It's
No,
horrible.
there's like nothing. They have nothing to
We
say.
went to dinner with my kids about 2 or 3 months ago, and with my granddaughter, and the 5 of us were sitting there, and a couple walked in. They were so forbidden. She looked like she was going to throw knives at him. He could care less, and they sat and played on their phones, and I wish I were flying the wall.
Yeah.
But they were so angry.
No,
I
not
felt
even,
so bad.
not even angry. I mean, you
There's just nothing.
I'm sort of like a people watcher.
Yeah.
And, you watch these people, and it's not that they're angry, it's they have nothing to say to each other. They're like,
But
They
this
even
is
talk about the weather. I mean,
so here,
something.
loneliness. At the very least, if I say I hate this person, at the very least, they keep me from being lonely, and for that reason alone, it's worth it to show them some kind of kindness, some kind of gratitude.
Good speech.
Very often, a person, ושותפתו להקמת משפחה גדול ילדים וצאצאים. They're also my partner in having a family that had children. Tragic stories happen all the time, but there are people. I don't know where I want to go with this. There are many, many people in the world who have children, and after they have children, it's kind of like this joy of having a new child, another child, another child. Once that wears off, and now they have their family, now they want to decide, the father doesn't want children, and the mom doesn't want to take it, whatever happens, and you have many, many children that grow up in a world that is not,
Oh yes.
it doesn't have two parents, and I'm not talking about a place where the relationship was bad.
Right.
That's
It's a malaise.
understandable.
They
It's a
have
place
no
of-
interest.
I kind of did this because it was nice for those first few years, and then, but at the end of the day, we brought a family together. There's a family here. There are children here. There are grandchildren. At the very least, to see the other person as the one who helped me have a family. It's a very modern American saying, but this is the one who made me a father, made me a mother. Father's Day, Mother's Day, you see these cards sometimes. Yeah, this person made you a father, they made you a mother. You have a family, you have grandchildren, you have children. At the very least, to say we're in this together because we have a family. This is what we have. You can't force another person. What we're talking here are reasons why, even when things are not well, the reasons to maybe, the reason to try to make things better. ומידת הכרת טובה היא כלל גדול ונעלה בין בני אדם ומיסודי יראת השם ועבודתו. So it's showing gratitude for things that people have done for you is not just a basic rule of relationships in general, but it's a basic rule in the service of Hashem. Now, what is Hashem? It's Hashem, thank you for creating me. Hashem, thank you for letting me wake up this morning. Hashem, thank you for having me have a job. Thank you for giving me health. Thank you for giving me a family. The reason why a person can cut out Hashem from their life is because they don't have gratitude towards Hashem. This, I did it on my own. I made my own kids. I got my own job. I have my own health. I have those people. It comes from a lack of ability to show gratitude to somebody else. A person can't show gratitude to their friend, to their wife, to their husband. How much more so they can't show gratitude to the Creator of the world? V'hakofel b'tovat chavero. A person is somebody who doesn't know how to give his friend thanks, gratitude for the things they've done for them. Will ultimately, sofo lichbor b'tovat Hashem chas v'shalom, will ultimately become the kind of person who also cannot show gratitude to Hashem. Our rabbis tell us, how do you know that a person is loved by God? How do you know? What's the test? To test if this person is
They're
Hashem
a happy
like
person. They're a happy person. From within, not just by looking at them.
Okay.
Somebody who's
Our
able
rabbis
to
have a
express
teaching
their
in
gratitude.
Pirkei Avot. How do you know? Our rabbis say, Kol sheruach haberiyot nocha himenu. If there's a person that everybody likes, ruach hamakom nocha himenu, be rest assured that Hashem likes them as well. Kol she'en ruach haberiyot nocha himenu. And if you find a person that nobody likes, rest assured she'en ruach hamakom nocha himenu. You should know Hashem doesn't like it either. You could be the most righteous person, pray 3 times a day, put on tefillin, wake up, go to synagogue, learn Torah, eat kosher, and nobody likes you because you're a good-for-nothing person. Our rabbis say, rest assured, Hashem doesn't like them either. And you can have a person who makes sure to go out of their way that everybody likes them. Their relationship with Hashem might be a little shaky. Our rabbis say, though, Hashem likes people that other people like. The relationships that we have with other people ultimately translate into our relationship with Hashem. Which is why you'll find that the moment that people stop believing in Hashem, immediately it leads them to do things that show a lack of respect for themselves. And I'm not afraid to tell you this. A person, I'm not talking here kosher and mezuzah, tefillin. I'm talking here, you live in a world where very few people ever go into marriage not having been with somebody else before, sexually. We have somebody teaching here at my table. They were an elementary school teacher, maybe middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The majority in Chicago, in a public school system in inner city Chicago, the majority of her middle school students were pregnant in middle school.
Yes, that's true.
The majority. That means they had a child and they dropped out of school. There's
No education.
forget high school and 8th grade, 7th grade.
Yes.
What
It happens
tells
here
you,
too, darling.
I'm sure it happens
here
everywhere.
too.
What it tells you about a person, there's a lot of this, I take my sexuality into my own hands, I'm in control of myself. A person has it's a certain lack of respect that I have for myself. What happened to dating somebody without touching them? or waiting until you know somebody to
that's
give
long
them the
gone.
right to touch you. Why do you have little children? You see, you just have to go to the mall one day and you see the things they're doing, and it's not. It doesn't come from a place of I'm in control of myself. It comes from a place of I have no control over myself. I don't think that I'm worth so much. If you thought you were
Not
worth
only that, but
something,
look what's on TV. Look what's in the movies.
Unfortunately, I have,
That's
I
what
have
they-
spoken to some of those mothers in my previous job, and some of them don't know what to do, and some of them, the baby, how do you say, I'm sorry, something that they don't want, it's there, but it's on their way. Now I
Of
cannot
course.
go to parties
It's a
because I
burden.
have, it's a burden, thank you.
I
It's a
understand though.
burden, and the child then grows not only, like you were saying, not only with that feeling of not belonging, but they don't even have they know they're not wanted.
Very good. Very good. That's true. I'm talking about the problem before that. Forget raising this child. Call me old school and old fashioned. I have to tell you the way we feel about these things. The word shomer,
God.
guard. That's how people translate it. I'm shomer Shabbat. I guard Shabbat. Got a gun and a sword. I stand at the door and I guard Shabbat. Don't you touch it. Shomer doesn't mean guard. You know that? The first time we find the word shomer in the Torah, do you remember where we find this?
No.
And I know, or I always say I'm not Orthodox Rabbi. Jews like to translate. Orthodox Jews say shomer means I guard Shabbat. I'm Sabbath observant. It doesn't mean this. You have a man who's sold into slavery by his brothers. Who?
Yosef.
Yosef. The righteous Yosef was sold as a slave by his brothers. His father doesn't believe that he's really dead.
His father never believed he was
His father didn't
Never.
buy the story. He saw the evidence, he saw the blood, he saw the coat. He didn't buy the story.
But he
because
didn't buy it.
his heart still felt. You see, the rabbis explain when a person passes away, there's a void. We miss the person, but if they really passed away, that void heals itself. Over time, we find a way not to forget, but to not feel as attached. It's hard to lose a parent, to lose a sibling, to lose a
Oh,
spouse.
absolutely.
But at a certain point, we develop the right tools to keep going forward. When a person didn't really pass away, for example, God forbid, we should never know, but you'll get these sometimes in the mail, missing children. They've been missing
Yes.
since the 90s, missing since the 80s, missing since last week. Doesn't make a difference. That lack of rest, because there is no closure. There was no, this is definite and I've now healed and moved on. This is the greatest, it's a torture, but the relationship didn't die because there was nothing dead yet. In Yosef Tzaddik and Yaakov Avinu's heart, that connection was more alive than it ever was because there was no closure. There was no my son. He felt like his son was alive. And he cherished his memory in his heart very fondly. And the word the Torah uses for that is Ve'aviv, and his father, Shamar et hadavar. His father cherished this memory of his son. The word Shamar literally is to cherish, to remember, to appreciate, to respect greatly, to want. One who is a Shomer Shabbat, the best definition I could say is one who cherishes Shabbat. There's many people who observe Shabbat, but they hate it. They hate that they can't use their phone, they hate that they can't this, they hate that they can't travel, they really hate it. This person may be Sabbath observant, but the Torah didn't ask you to observe the Shabbat, it asked you to cherish the Shabbat, to love the Shabbat, to appreciate the Shabbat.
In Spanish, we say cuidar,
Which
not
means?
shomer, which means take care of.
Take care of. Interesting. Very interesting. And so the word in the Jewish street lingo is if a person touches people, they're young people, we don't touch each other until marriage. The word for this is I'm shomer nagia. I guard my touch. Literally, I don't touch anybody until I'm married. The proper word for that is I cherish my touch. I want this touch, this physicality, only to be with one person that I designate at the time that I'm ready for that. The world has lost this concept entirely. Entirely. The young people don't even... It's a nice thought, but good luck. It's not happening. It's a very difficult thing. But a person who doesn't have self-respect will let any guy in the world pick her up in a bar. A guy who doesn't have any self-respect will let any girl that throws herself at him, because I don't think that I'm worth more than that. I don't think that I should look for somebody good, somebody important, somebody sophisticated, somebody I connect with on an emotional level, somebody that has a chance with it. People don't think like that because they don't cherish themselves. And the reason why people don't cherish themselves is because they don't feel that they're divine. They don't feel that they're godly. They don't feel that they have... See, I believe I was put in here by Hashem for a purpose, on a mission. Hashem needs me. I have an inflated self-worth because I was told from a young age, Hashem needs you in this world. But that inflated self-worth keeps you out of a lot of trouble because you don't want to... If I'm that important, I'm a VIP resident of this world, I'm a dignitary, I'm an ambassador of something, I don't want to mess around. I represent more than just myself. That feeling of value, self-value, keeps a person away from a lot of trouble.
And that's when I was saying about the children growing like that, is because what value do they feel they have if they know they're not wanted?
Sure, their parents tell them you were a mistake.
So it's even worse.
You grow up somebody else's mistake.
And I think any parent that tells a child that they're a mistake is a bad parent because
You'll
that's
You'll be
say it.
surprised how many children have
Oh,
sat
yeah.
in front of me. Oh, my parents always say that I was a mistake.
yes, I've heard
That's
it.
a horrible
It's a
What-
horrible thing.
More than once. More than
my
3 times.
inside
And-
turns
I know
when I
I was
hear
not
that.
planned, but not a mistake.
That's right. There's a difference.
And there's
My-
big difference.
There's
I was
a
so
difference.
excited, you have no idea. This is the best thing that ever happened to me.
What?
Being pregnant.
Yeah.
What?
I miss being pregnant. I felt
yes.
so
I
alive
love-
and
I
so
love
wonderful,
pregnancy.
and
Yes,
it just made such a difference to me.
yes. I agree.
Really.
Feeling
Loved
life
it.
within you. I
Yes,
loved it. I loved it.
absolutely.
So to sum this up, we're saying a person has to look at their partner in their life and say, or any person that they have any kind of relationship with, like I mentioned to you, other former congregants of mine or whatever. You owe somebody a debt of gratitude. Somebody did something for you. Somebody was once there for you. Somebody helped you out. When I got married, I basically found myself in New York a little bit unprepared for the wedding. I kind of came in, my parents came in late, the flights and all these things happened, and there were some things that needed to take place on the ground. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that my wife was going to be so religious, and in the Ashkenazi community, brides and grooms don't see each other for the whole
That's
week
right.
before the wedding.
Correct.
Not in our communities, but in the Ashkenazi community, it's a standard procedure.
Correct.
I figured, hey, listen, she's marrying somebody Sephardic, why would you do... Okay, clearly she had those plans, which meant I got on the ground. Not only could I couldn't even communicate with my wife. So, my bride. Yeah. So I had to figure out all kinds of things alone on the ground. And
That's very hard.
it was difficult. Not financial things. Like, you have to
It's
figure
not a
out
financial thing, it's a mental
who's going to
thing.
bring the rabbi from the airport to the wedding. Who's going to make sure that this stuff gets up from there to there.
And you were not even able to email.
And I'm not a New Yorker, so I don't drive there. I didn't have it. I had a friend, a random friend. Well, the real story was my rabbi landed the night before the wedding. And he heard that there were going to be other big rabbis at the wedding. I had a few of the Rabbi Feinsteins were going to be there. A number of Hasidic rabbis were going to be there. And he said, listen, in our yeshiva, I'm the authority and people will trust my opinion on something. But the ketubah that I brought, I don't know that the other rabbis who are going to be at your wedding are going to appreciate the version of it, and they might make problems. If they've already made problems until the wedding, they're going to make problems at the wedding. Let's try to get a new ketubah.
God
And that's
bless
the day
you,
before the
Tony.
wedding. I think he needs a tissue.
Right.
Yeah, he needs a tissue. I don't have it.
This is clean.
Thank you.
The day before the wedding, I have to go look for a ketubah. If I was in San Diego, I have an aunt
Cry.
who's a Judaic historic, I pop into that. I'm
That's
over
right.
there alone. I have to look for a ketubah.
Cry
Not
not
any
to
ketubah. I need like a
doctors.
Sephardic ketubah. Which means that if you're in Hasidic town in Barbara, you need a custom-made ketubah.
That's right.
A custom-made ketubah nobody does in a day. Nobody does in an hour. You're supposed to tell them
That's
a few
right.
months in advance. Basically, I found one guy. I tracked him down 6 hours before the wedding.
Who's knows?
I tracked him down.
Smells again.
The only warning I got about this guy was he forgets things. So you'll pay him, you'll get him a
Is
job,
that okay?
and 3 hours later
Yes.
when you're supposed to pick up your ketubah, oh, I forgot to do the project. And then he'll start. And then you'll come an hour later, I forgot to do it. You have to have somebody sitting outside of his door to make sure he actually gets it done.
Yes.
I have a wedding to be at, there are pictures, there. What do? I had one friend that I don't know if I sent him an invitation to the wedding. He was my roommate in 9th grade. He lived in Brooklyn though. I remember him really good. His name was David Ginty. I did invite him to the wedding, but that was like, because I'm in New York. So we didn't really stay so much in touch. And pulled out my phone and I said, maybe I still have his cell phone number. I called him up. Hi, this is David. David, this is Yoni, your old roommate from 9th grade. Are you coming to my wedding tonight? Yeah, okay, great. I need your help. You don't understand. This man shows up, stays there for 3 hours outside of this guy's office, drives to the hotel in another neighborhood to pick up my rabbi to bring him to the wedding. He stayed till the end of the wedding at 2 o'clock in the morning to drive my wife and I to our hotel.
Oh, wow.
And never asked for even a thank you.
That's a friend.
And that, I'll tell you, you rarely have. I have people that I see all the time, but if my car broke down past 9 o'clock at night, they'll never be there. So call somebody else. Call AAA. Why do you?
No, call me.
This is the
Call
kind of
us.
person. Thank you. This is the kind of person who I owe him a debt of gratitude. And he said he did this because clearly in high school he felt that I'd done enough for him that he wanted to repay a favor. There are good people in the world. You never want to go down in the book of history as being the person who couldn't show gratitude to somebody.
Absolutely.
Even if they've wronged you afterwards, and even if they've, at the very least, don't say bad about them.
Yeah.
I say this to you all the time. I know you're getting divorced. I know you got divorced. 20 years you lived together and you're happy. Or maybe 10 years you lived together and were happy, the other 10 you suffered. The very least you can owe to yourself is not to come to me and give me all the dirty laundry that no one ever needs to know. Just like this person trusted you with confidential information because at that time you were good with each other, I hope that they're not going to run around town and say the bad things also. What happens is when people get divorced and then they start to badmouth each other, it shows you that neither of them have this ability. The very basic respect is not to spill each other's
And
secrets.
then they tell
everywhere else.
lies about each other.
lies
that
are
not
worse.
true.
Oh, yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah.
But let me
They're
tell
not
you,
true.
when
Yeah.
I went to get my divorce, and they have to write, they have to write every letter, and if it's not right, they start all over again. And we went several times, and we had the 3 rabbis, and always afterwards, I used to bring my husband in the car. The 2 of us would come together, and they'd always say to us, "Are you sure you want this divorce?" And I said, "Yes, I'm leaving for Israel in April, and with the kids. I have to have a ketubah. I have to have a divorce because if I don't have it, I can't get into Israel because they won't accept it." And they kept on saying, "Are you sure this is what you want? Because the 2 of you always talk so nicely to each other. You're always so nice. Everything's so nice." The day we actually did it, and it was torn up and everything else, the 3 rabbis came to speak to my ex-husband and I, who's now passed on. And he said, "This is the first divorce I've ever known that has been so amicable." He said, "The 2 of you are so respectful." And he said, "I still don't understand why you want this divorce." And I said, "Because I want to live in Israel and he wants to live in South Africa. And I'm taking the kids and I'm going to Israel." And that's what I did.
To be civil in such a situation is very difficult.
It's
And
ve-
I
I've got
cannot
it all
judge
black
that
and
I've
white,
never been in
yeah.
such a situation. But the ideal situation would be that 2 people would say, "Listen, just like we, in a civil way, got together, we now realize that we don't want to stay together." In a civil way. And very often I find that there's a side of a couple that would like to do such a thing. But the other side is, you're going to leave me, I'm going to drag you through the mud until that happens.
And the worst is when the kids are the basket of all that negativity.
Oh,
from
that
the
is
other.
the
Oh, yeah.
worst.
That is the worst.
They almost say that you shouldn't do business with somebody. They're just saying you shouldn't do business with somebody you can't sue. If someone's too close to...
Yeah.
Very often I tell somebody, imagine if things got the worst in the world. Is this the kind of person you'd like to go up against? If this person is a crook and a criminal, and if once they turn their back on you, you're going to be the brunt of all of that. The person is a good person, and you're a good person, and even things go wrong, the good will prevail in that relation, but not always the people. It's hard. You don't always know somebody at their worst when you know them at their best. It's a true thing in life. To have gratitude.
The smile, the word, he's smiling so nicely.
Yeah.
He's smiling to beat the band. He was smiling to beat the band. Look at it. And the dimples. Oi, edible.
The second part of this conversation is what our parents calls kshurabo. People are connected to each other. 2 people live in the same house, share the same path. Many of our feelings are joint. What do I mean? There are very few people that can get under your skin. But those who know you the best
Can get under your
can
skin.
get under...
Absolutely.
It's like that. Sometimes parents and their children, they fight because the parents and the children know things about each other. Or they know exactly what's at... My brother. Ariel. Him and I are best friends. We also know exactly how it is to upset each other.
Oh,
because we know each
absolutely.
other so well. God forbid, if we ever wanted to make the other one mad, it's just one word, just one button, just I know where to press.
That's
Everybody
right.
else thinks there's a whole system. I know exactly where to push. We don't realize how dependent people in a relationship are on each other. In a relationship, very often a husband or a wife's, maybe even their whole self-worth, has to do with how I'm treated by my other spouse, by the other half of me. I could be the top of a company, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation, but if when I wake up in the morning there's somebody who despises me or just negative to me, or it can
Degrades you.
ruin my whole day. It can ruin my whole life. It can ruin everything. Can be going for me on paper, but that relationship is crucial for making or breaking a person.
I agree.
We are. How many people have I seen? Such good people, solid people with big vision, get married to a person who's crushed them completely.
Yes.
Crushed them. I have friends. People who could have been world-class rabbis. That they married. I don't say they're wrong people. Clearly they're married and they're happy and they're doing their thing, but somebody who didn't believe in them. Didn't believe in their vision, didn't believe in their plan, didn't believe in their, to be, I can speak only for myself. To be a rabbi is not easy. It's not easy, forget on a financial level, which is never easy. But the things you have to deal with on a daily basis, you're always putting out fires and fires and fires.
Yes.
And there's always someone who has something bad to say about you because you were too busy with somebody else and you couldn't take care of them one, you didn't answer the phone fast enough, or you didn't say them the right thing at the synagogue, or they told you some news about their great-grandson's uncle's sister and you didn't react the right way. Everyone has something on you, like any other public figure in the world. Only imagine, I would never run for office in any place. Just what you do as a rabbi is bad enough. You want to be the prime minister, or the president, the Knesset member. It's terrible. But that's part of life. It's what you sign up for. And unless you have a support system, which namely is your spouse, who is willing to help you get through that, there's almost no chance of survival in such a situation. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the income and the outcome for what's going on over here. מתחשבת מאוד בדעתו, מייחסו עליה אם טוב או לא. There are very people that I feel a certain way about myself based on how you treat me, based on what you think about me, based on the ideas that I have and your reactions towards them. ויש אישה רגישה ומתפעלת שעל פי בעלה ויחסו עליה כן הרגשתה ותפקודה. There are some people that are so joint, so needing the other person, that the way the other person treats them literally can make their life or destroy their life.
Absolutely, and make them into people who are nothing. And then all of a sudden that person dies and they are left with nothing. And let me tell you, I know somebody like that. And you have no idea how hard it is to pick up somebody who's always been downtrodden, and really they are strong characters but have been so downtrodden for so long that, and especially when you're over 70 and this happens, it's very hard for them to pick themselves up and become somebody again.
Sure.
Very difficult.
This is כאשר מתייחס אליה טוב, בכבוד והערכה, when the spouse treats them with respect and happiness and joy, they value them, they appreciate them, היא מרגישה טוב ושמחה. The person feels happy and rejoice. I feel, wow, I'm really special. מתפקדת טוב וזריזה במעשיה ומילוי כישרונותיה. All of a sudden you see that their talents, they're not hidden talents anymore, but they fly, that the people can reach all kinds of places that they only were able to reach because they married somebody who believed in them. ואם יחסו עליה רע בזלזול וביטול, if a person treats them with degradation or with, like, I don't care about you, but worse than that, או באי אכפתיות, I believe the English word for this is complacency. I don't care either way. What do you think about my new career? I don't care. Do whatever you want. What do you think about the new job? I don't know. Do whatever you want. How do you like my outfit? You like it? It's nice. I don't care enough about you to ever give you any kind of positive or negative feedback. It's absolute complacency. Men have this problem more than women do. Not a rule, but it's probably true. They think in their head that they're giving them freedom. You like it, do it. You don't like it, don't do it. I'm not asking you here I know I could do whatever I want. I'm an American citizen. It's a free country. I could do whatever. I don't have to ask you anything. I'm asking you because I want feedback on something. I want to know what you're a person who I value. You're a person who I respect. I want to know what you think about something. You not willing to go on the line and share something with me, that means that you don't care enough about what it is that I'm doing, and that's very hard. He margisha ra, all of a sudden I feel bad, atzuva, I'm sad, uguza, even angry. The tafkuda lakui, it could be that even their job, their functioning will be damaged. Vatzra b'masev yoredet mata mata. They can even go, they can fail at whatever project they were trying to work on or whatever mission they were on. ויותר מזה, and worse than this, יש שבריאות הגוף והנפש. או חודש לאישה קשור ומושפע מיחסו של בעלה עליה לטוב ולרוחו. It could be that a person's physical and emotional health are actually caused by the person that they're with. A person can actually bring, like you're mentioning, you could bring a person to depression, to suicide, God forbid, to anxiety, to all kinds of some things. Some disorders are chemical disorders that nobody asked for.
No, that's
sometimes
different.
a person can really push a person so low into the dirt that they've ruined that on a physical level. Stress, when stress does to a person. How many diseases, heart problems and health, blood pressure problems and health problems, all because of a situation at home where a person is not being treated like another human being. And perhaps when we're coming to a couple and we're saying, listen, the reason why you should get along with each other, because it literally affects the life of another person. You are actually, it's not just you and what you want. There are two people here, and you really, really, really have an influence on somebody else.
It's a family.
Don't underestimate what this could do. Family, how many children have problems that were not genetically given to them by their parents? Situations in which they were raised, the circumstances under which there was another choice. There was an option. The person didn't care. It's about me. It's not their problem. The child is going to walk out of that damaged, destroyed, hurt.
Agreed, but 9 out of 10 don't realize, they don't see that the children are being hurt by this. As far as they're concerned, they're so into themselves that they don't even care about the kids. They'll say, they'll survive.
That's right.
How many times have I heard this since I've lived in the States?
Yeah,
The kids will survive.
The kids are like furniture.
That's right.
They're like there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can move you here and we can move you there. I mean, I've seen some divorce cases in this country where I am absolutely agog. I have had kids who work for me, and this is how the parents decided. Every 3 days, you live with another parent.
Yeah.
So now you have to have 2 lots of clothing in 2 different homes, because God forbid you forget something, and the parent has to go to that house to get it. And I'm talking about kids who are 16 and 17
I want to balance
years old.
out though what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've seen children grow up in circumstances that they could have been healthier had their parents decided to get divorced.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Because that relationship was
That's
so
right.
bad for them to see, to know, to be a part of, to be
That's right.
that it would have been better for them to go through this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth
Yeah.
than this.
Sometimes.
There are two ways about this. But a child can forever struggle with issues, with security issues,
Either
self-esteem issues, whatever you want to say comes out of something because of a bad relationship on their parents' part. There are some people that they never know how to love each other because they had parents that couldn't give that, even that.
I
Couldn't even love
understand.
each other. They never saw parents hug. They never got
Correct.
kissed by their parents. They
How
never,
many times have we seen
and
this?
in their whole life, they also, it's not their fault. They're in a relationship, and sometimes I'll ask a husband or a wife, "Did your parents ever hug you?" No. So how do you expect this person? How do you expect ever that they would know how to hug somebody else? It's not their fault. They were never even given this awareness of not just hugs or kisses. It's an emotional connection. There was a very interesting halachic dilemma, which I'll share with you without giving a final verdict. The dilemma is as follows: we're not allowed to touch people of the opposite gender that are not married to us,
Correct.
with the exception of
Your wife, your mother,
a mother,
your
a
children.
spouse, a child, a grandparent, and a grandchild.
That's right.
That's
Not
it?
aunts, not
Directly.
uncles, not
Oh, you
cousins,
kidding?
not-
Do I know that story well?
I didn't know that.
So now, I'll share. How much more so not your friends and your neighbors and the people who pray in the synagogue with you. I'm just explaining this. What happens now to a family that adopts a child? The child is a child in foster care. They adopt them.
Okay.
Now when this child is a year old, there's no problem here. The child reaches a significant age. Now they're in high school. They're after bar mitzvah, whatever you like to say. This is not really their blood child.
Correct.
Am I allowed to hug or kiss them?
Yes.
Because technically, we're not related to each other. We're on paper now a family, but we're not related to each other.
Correct, but you can still do it.
It's not so clear on the ground. The technical law is that adoption is a nice thing that doesn't necessarily exist within the parameters of Jewish law. We don't have running protocol for what you do or don't do. Can a father and a daughter who are not blood related to each other be alone for an extended period of time inside of a house? A father and a daughter can be,
Sometimes not.
because we believe that there's no
But a
inclination
father and a daughter can
between the
also
two
be
of
a
them.
problem, you know?
There are problems.
Could also be a problem.
And can and has been a problem. So,
Not
It- yes.
the same as a normal man and a woman who are not related
That's
to each
true.
other. So how much more so the person who they're not even related, they just have these roles. Why is that different than any other man or woman not being alone with each other? There were some studies done, I believe, in this country, but a girl who was living in foster care was known to be exceptionally smart, but somehow her speech was it was
Pressured?
no, she couldn't, she
she
stuck.
had impediments in her speech. She wasn't able to write well, to express herself, to read. It was very, like, almost on a much less functioning level, but she didn't have any official mental issues. There were no mental health issues here. And then she got adopted by an elderly lady, like a grandmother type, who already had her children and wanted to do some good in the world by adopting, so she was able to care for them. Within 3 months, this girl was speaking and reading and writing and made it to a normal age range of somebody in her class. 3 months.
Yeah, because the father was
She
molesting
got
her.
hugs and kisses, and she was in a situation where she didn't have any support system, no love, no. This study has led many poskim that I'm aware of, that I know of, to say it might actually fall into the category of saving a life. Physical contact between an adopted parent and their child. It
Absolutely.
can fall into, and you know that in Judaism, to save a life, we'll do a lot of things. We'll
Everything.
break anything to save a life. This idea, I'm not issuing here a halachic psat. In such situations, we should ask a big rabbi. But not to underestimate that what warmth in a relationship can do to another person, or lack
Absolutely.
of warmth can do to a person.
Absolutely. I can tell you when I adopted my daughter, Sarah, Richard's daughter, it wasn't an easy case because I had 4 children of my own and I was married to Richard and it was his daughter. And
How old was she?
She was 8. And I said, I can't live in a home and love a child and give her everything if she can't be mine. Now, unfortunately, her mom had passed away from cancer. And I wasn't exactly the healthiest person in the world either. But Chabad gave us a ring around the world. Besides going through the American courts of it, we did it both ways, so that she would have the right of return to Israel like my other children. But it was very hard. They really came down and they checked on us, and I had 3 Chabad rabbis from New York that came from Crown Heights that came to our house and inspected it, and
To what?
just to see how we were with the child and how the child lived, and did she have her own room, and oh yeah.
Under what? Under what?
I can't tell you. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Sof. Her mother had done a conversion, which I didn't appreciate, and as far as I was concerned, it was not a conversion. It was done through the reform, and I couldn't accept it. And that wasn't good enough for me, for her to be the law of return to Israel. And I wanted to make sure that she did have the law of
I
return.
understand. Okay.
And I contacted my rabbi in Renana and asked him if he would accept these things. And he said, if it's done by this, and this rabbi, we'll accept it.
So
And
this.
so today Sarah has got the right to return to Israel.
So this whole situation of, you should know, by the way, in general, adopting children is one of the biggest mitzvot a person can do.
Oh, absolutely.
And my rabbis talk very warmly of being, I don't know if anyone's ever seen foster care, orphanages, or anything of this worth. Talk about not a normal way to be raised. This is a disaster, a real disaster. It's a system that before anything else should be scrapped and rebuilt from the ground. And
Your father-in-law helps run an orphanage in the Ukraine.
my father-in-law?
Yes.
Could be.
I know. I'm telling you. And how did I find
How
it?
did you find
Oh,
out?
I know. I know because
I don't know.
Nechamadina Cholebach got her 2 children from that.
My
orphanage.
father-in-law?
Yes.
As my father-in-law did serve as a rabbi for a while in Russia, so I
Yes.
don't know what
In the Ukraine,
what
yes.
he's done or
And,
didn't.
yes.
Okay, interesting. And
There
And
are
he
many
helped.
studies. There are many studies about children, how they develop when they have human contact or when they live
That's
in an
right.
orphanage and they don't have that human contact.
That's right, and it's very difficult. I mean,
They
Nechamadina's
don't
got
have that
the 2 kids.
ability. Of
No.
relationship.
She was lucky because the little boy was only 3 months when she got him.
Oh.
this
So that
this
was a
question
blessing.
though has raised other issues in the Jewish community. And that I'm hinting. Don't read too much into what I'm saying. I'm just gonna hint to this. There have been opinions that have said that perhaps if 2 people are in what we would consider on a Jewish level a less than ideal relationship, who would like to adopt children, perhaps anybody who's willing to adopt a child out of the system is worth just saying, do it, because we struggle so much with the way that system looks today. But at the end of the day, people are literally dependent on each other, and you could see a spouse that has made their other spouse into somebody great. You know, the famous story about the rabbi and his wife, who they say behind every great man
Is a great
is
woman.
an even greater woman, right?
That's right.
Behind every angry woman is a man who has no idea what he did this time.
That's right.
So no, there was a rabbi was walking down the street and somewhere in Poland at a little shtetl, and they walk past the butcher shop and they see the butcher and his wife. They're wearing these white aprons and covered in blood and pieces of meat, and that's a butcher shop. That's what it is. And they're dirty and they're it's not clean work. And he looks at her and says, you were supposed to once upon a time date Yankel the butcher. Lucky for you, you married me, and now you're the chief rebbitzin of this town. I said, no, I think you got it wrong. See, if I would have married Yankele, you would be the butcher and he would be the chief rabbi of this town. Sometimes you have a spouse that really can turn a person, and it's not, the word change is not correct. You're not making a person into who they're not.
You can't.
You've highlighted, you support who they are and what they are and their dreams and their ambitions. And I knew a couple that both of them were in medical school at the same time. It's a crazy thing because students are poor in general, but to be married and poor and having children, and it's a crazy situation. But listen, at the end, they both got each other through it. And who's laughing now? They're doctors who, in a day, in a surgery, they make more than they made in all those 10 years while they're working. But they gave each other that support. How many people are afraid to get married before they start law school, before they start medical school?
Oh, absolutely.
Because maybe my spouse will just bail
Yes.
out on me because they can't
Correct.
handle these living conditions. They can't. But
Oh,
if somebody
you're right.
really believes in you, if somebody really believes in what it is that you might accomplish, then wouldn't they step? Of course it's hard. Nobody said that life is easy. We've all been through those times. It's a wheel that goes up and down. But if a person runs away because of that, then maybe it was better they ran away.
Yes.
Not always are those people worth having around. There are people who, when they had money, they had all the friends in the world. All of a sudden,
Oh,
they don't have money anymore, and
got
all their
no
friends
friends.
left also.
Correct.
So they weren't your friends. They were people who.
We're sponges.
It's a very scary thing.
They were
It's a
sponges.
very scary thing. I was once at a table here in San Diego, at a dinner. I won't mention where. And I was sitting with another man, somebody who I knew from my childhood and I hadn't seen in a long time. And so we sat down. And I'm a rabbi. And now so we were talking, and one of the rabbis had come around to shake people's hands at the table. And this guy said, "Rabbi, you don't have to shake my hand. I don't have any money." And at first I was very taken aback. And he's right. This is that rabbi. I know him. He only shakes people's hands if he's going to get money from it somehow. He only takes somebody out for dinner if he's going to get a check from it somehow. Those people were better off, should have been like used car salesmen and not become rabbis.
Correct.
It should be a rabbi, should be a person who wants to be a rabbi and a businessman. But the problem is many of these rabbis went to schools where they didn't have any kind of education where they could actually do another trade. So they used their rabbi hat as the way to be a politician or a way to be a businessman or to be a crooked politician or a sleazy businessman. And it's very scary to me to see this because many people, somebody said recently, speaking on Shabbat, I see the worst kind of teacher in the world is the one who didn't want to be a teacher, but this is the only job they could get.
Correct.
Very, very scary. Such people can ruin a child's education.
Absolutely.
And there are some teachers that can take a child and turn them into somebody else. transform them into somebody else. That's the kind of teacher you need.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in this town, the teachers have all got tenure, and you can't get rid of them. So you can't get a decent teacher to come
But
in.
why would you go into a field that you don't care? It's not a
Because it's easy
This is not
money.
flipping burgers at McDonald's.
It's
this
easy
is this
money.
is
You work till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. and
That's
you
right.
come
And
in
you get off
at
summers and
7
holidays.
And you get all the holidays. Seriously,
and
I know so many
that's worth
teachers that I've met
worth
like that.
destroying a child's life.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
yes,
they don't care
whatever
for the
it is.
child. If
They
they
don't
would care
care
for
for
the
the
child,
kids.
they wouldn't have become a teacher.
That's exactly right.
But this is the problem. They said how this is a problem. Same thing with a relationship. You don't want to work hard to make somebody happy. You don't want to be there for somebody else. So don't marry them. Don't, just do yourself the favor. Don't do it. But why do it and then be the worst partner somebody could ever ask for? This I'm judging. I'm judging this. I normally don't judge people. Another day, two people are sitting in front of me. I tell them, you had a choice. Nobody forced you. There are some places, sometimes I talk to people from certain communities and they were forced up against the wall and they got married. But no, I'm here talking to San Diegans in 2016. Who forced you to do this? Who put you up against the wall and said, or else? Nobody. So why? You know that you don't have the ability to love this person and to stand by them. So why'd you do that to her? Why does she deserve to have... Now she has your children and now she has you. And 20 years she hasn't worked because you don't worry, I'm going to take care of everything at home. And now you threw her to the curb. And she doesn't have children and she doesn't know how to work. And she doesn't... For what? What did you do? Why? When what good were those years where everything was so terrible? You have to look at a relationship. When I see people that are in a happy relationship, I'm so proud of them. I'm really proud because it's not the norm anymore in the street. That means from the 85%, they're the 15%. They're the 15% who say we're in a relationship. We go out to dinner together. We talk to each other in the morning. We help each other with things. This is an incredible thing, and it's easy in the first for a year, 2, 5 people.
No, but you helped me a lot.
With Baruch Hashem,
You
we
really,
all help
I
each
really
other.
mean it. You really have helped me a lot.
Thank you. We all help each other here. This is we've all learned something from each other, and even those of us who may have said, "Hey, we messed up." We didn't mess up.
All of us messed up.
This is a proof. This is a proof of
Nobody's
the kind of
perfect.
relationship we're talking about.
Right.
Some people are just saying, I was the guinea pig. This was the experiment. And this translates into everything. I see shuls sometimes. I see communities. And I see these cliques inside of communities. These people,
that is the
these
worst.
people, and some of them are ridiculous. They're based on ethnicities or languages, or they're based on financial status. Or, it's a strange thing. You guys are forced to be together anyways. You're going to be doing bar mitzvahs with your kids together anyways. You're going to have the same chair, the same table, the same prayer books, the same rabbi. Why can't you just be nice to each other? Why? Why does it have to be a clique? Why does it be one person? I have people, friends of mine, that moved to a new community a few years ago. And they've never once been invited to somebody else's house for dinner. Shabbat.
That's
Orthodox community.
disgusting. That's disgusting.
Because they're the strangers. They don't fit into the clique.
That's disgusting.
That's what human beings are supposed to look like. You have a family. They came. They moved. They're with you. What kind of people are you? If I could, I would go and shake up the whole world over there. Scream at the rabbi. What kind of people are you educating? I'm not afraid. I recently gave my community a little pep talk. I think John was there. About hosting more people. My community hosts a lot of people. They more. They need to be nicer. What do you mean nicer? My community are the nicest people in this whole town. I tell you the truth. The nicest people in the whole town. But I'm pushing them to do more. That's my job. Just like a person, you see a kid and the kid is a disgusting person to your child at school. Half of that problem, not all of it. Sometimes a kid is just that has a troublemaker personality. Half of that is the parent's problem. You're allowed to go to the parents and say, hey, get your kid in order. Make it. Why? It's not their fault. He's not me. He's a part of you. You're part of each other. Parents are responsible for their children.
Absolutely.
I called the parent, and the child came over with the parent and apologized to my son.
Right. Rabbis are responsible for their communities. Principals are responsible for the teachers in their schools.
Correct.
It doesn't mean sole responsibility. I'm not blaming everything on the highest up on the food chain. But if we're working together, so now we're in a relationship. One person can't blame entirely everything on somebody else in the relationship. They're such a bad person, they're such a this, that. And what are you? You're the angel of God sent to this world in human form. What are you? We also have problems, and we also have to work things out, and we also have issues. But why should we work things out? What we said today? We should work things out because we appreciate each other. We've done a lot for each other in the past, and there's no reason to throw that all to the curb. I have to interrupt myself. There are people like that. You could do good for them your whole life, and one time you mess up. One time. And they'll forget everything you ever did good for them.
Correct.
And the only thing they can remember is that one time you messed up. You know, everyone knows those people. That personality is such a dangerous personality. They don't, the Rambam says, how do you judge a person? You see a person, how do you know if they're a good person or a bad person? Everybody does good and bad.
Yeah.
So how do you judge
That's
them?
a good question.
How do you know are they good or Hitler, Yamach was an animal rights activist. Maybe he was a good guy and just had a bad side effect of murdering millions of people. Nobody in their right mind would say such a thing. Why?
Because he had a nasty character.
Say better. How do you judge a person?
By his actions and his deeds.
Intuition.
How do you measure? He does both good and bad. Let's not talk about Yamach. He did
It's
nothing
very
good.
hard.
Our rabbis have a formula. Majority rules.
What is-
If a person mostly does good, then even when they do things that are bad, you judge them favorably.
But sometimes they're two-faced, and you can't tell. You really don't know them.
You know what they say? We like two-faced people at synagogues because we can count 5 of them for a minion of 10. This is it's good. But the truth is that people are two-faced. But how do you know? You're married to somebody. You're in a business relationship with somebody. You sit next to somebody at the shul, and sometimes they're annoying, but most of the time they're pretty decent people. Remember them for the good that they do, not for the bad they do. You know a person that was so great, and one time they slipped. They made a mistake, a bad mistake, not a good mistake, a bad mistake. Now everything you're going to throw out of the window. Where do we see this the most?
All the
We see
time.
this in our Tanakh, in our Jewish Bible. See, our rabbis are not afraid. When we wrote the Torah, the prophets wrote the Torah, the Nevi'im, the Ketubim, they weren't afraid to tell you King David did this and King Solomon did that.
That's
Why didn't they make them into perfect beings?
Because
In Judaism, the formula is not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No, David was definitely not perfect.
King David says, there is no such thing as a righteous person who always does things that are righteous.
Correct.
He himself wrote.
Why
Why
did he write it? Because what he
Why
did.
else would we have to be here if not to
Of
make
course, what he did.
corrections
Of course.
for
I mean,
ourselves?
come on.
Don't make me get all
How can
defensive
he
for David
excuse
over
him?
here.
Huh?
Don't make me get all defensive for King David over here.
You can't get defensive.
I can't get defensive
No, you
for him.
can't, because what he did was not right. You don't take your best friend's wife and sleep with her and then send him off to war and say you've got to get divorced
Hey,
before
it
you
didn't
go.
happen to you. Calm down.
You know the King
It's
David.
almost.
King David used to come into the synagogue, and the rabbis would be sitting there. and They would start laughing at him when he was already king. And they would say, "Oh, David, what is the punishment for somebody who takes his friend's wife?" And he said the same punishment for embarrassing somebody in public.
Karma.
And he would go take his seat. It's in
That's right.
And
I'm
you
not
would
telling
what?
you.
What did he say you would what?
He would tell them the same punishment as those who embarrass somebody else in public.
Yes.
Then he would go take his seat and sit down.
Karma.
And listen, our rabbis tell us that anybody who said that King David sinned is incorrect. They're lacking understanding of the story. But let's say that we can't. Let's say you can't wrap your head around the story that direction. At the very least, the majority of King David is good. The majority of what he did is good.
Yes.
And therefore he goes down in our history as a good person. Why those rules don't apply anymore? Why you can have a person who's mostly good, and then they messed up. They messed up once and 10 times. But the
He did
majority
marry
of what
her,
they
let's
do,
be honest.
the
He married
majority of what they do is good.
her. He did marry
So
her.
why do we judge them so wrongly?
Because
How
people
much
are quick
different
to
are we than
judgment.
that friend of ours who throws out the baby with the bathwater? Do you know where that saying comes from? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater?
Where does it come from?
I read something. They have a book called The Origins of such things. People would boil a little bath of water, and the father would the mother would bathe in there, and the child. And by the time it got to the baby, the water was so black that you couldn't see the baby in the water anymore. They say when you spill out the water, make sure you don't spill out the baby also, because he's in there, even though it's black water. Sometimes it's dirty. It's a person, but they're not that bad. Just remember that the person I'm with, they're better to me than that person's husband, better to me than that person's wife. Sometimes I see people. It happens to me a lot. I have to say. I'm at somebody else's house, I'm visiting, I'm at a Shabbat table, at the end of the meal. So, no, how was it? I say, it was great. Thank you for marrying me. Thank you. You're the best evil I could have chosen in my life. I don't mean as an evil, God forbid.
No.
I mean, I couldn't have lasted a day with that person's wife. I couldn't make it an hour in that person's shoes. And you have to just say, I'm grateful that you're the one I have to put up with. Even if it's a bad day, I'm grateful that it's that person and not somebody else. You have kids, Wait until you see other people's kids, and then you say, my kids are angels compared to other people's kids, and even when they give me a run for my money, I'm happy to be dealing with these kids than somebody else's kids.
Because it's yours.
It's yours, yeah. They say,
And
there's
you
an
know-
old Yiddish saying, that if everybody would take their tsaras, their struggles, and put them on the table, everybody would choose theirs again.
The unpickled, yes.
I wouldn't take yours. I'm
No.
not by a long chance.
I'm
We
very
don't have
happy
to
with
deal
my
with
pickle.
ours. We don't have to deal with ours.
That's
I
right.
agree. And
I'm
the
happy to
last
deal with my
thing we
pickle.
mentioned today was, at the end of the day, you cannot look at just yourself. You're not alone anymore. The relationship that you're in directly influences and causes either good things or bad things in somebody else's life, in somebody else's job, in somebody else's work. You see sometimes a person will come to shul, and I know that afterwards I have to go give them a hug and ask them what happened that morning over coffee because they look like they're ready to explode. Why? Listen, all his wife meant was, please don't leave your cup on the coffee counter. Don't leave your cup of coffee on the counter. But what he heard was an angry, grumpy person who was up all night long with 6 babies, and by the time that came out of her mouth, it was, you come back home and I'm going to hang you from a tree. That's what it sounded like. It wasn't true. It's not really. But a person, she destroyed his whole day, or he destroyed her whole day. Depends how you look at this. We don't realize how much effect we have on somebody else's life when we're in a relationship with them. And to make sure that we do whatever it takes. Parents. If parents only knew the things they cause in their children's life. Even parents who have children who are married. Sometimes I tell people, you think that you're fighting with your son, but you just ruined your daughter-in-law's life. She doesn't even have to put up with you. She does. But at the end of the day, he's fighting with you. That means she's fighting with you. That means your grandkids aren't going to have a relationship with their grandparents. A whole solar system you're destroying for what? Because they didn't come to visit you at the right time. They were late to Thanksgiving dinner because they forgot to bring the candies for the party. That's why we're going to ruin the whole solar system. Because of that. Sometimes you have to think about more than just ourselves. Halakha is when you start to put your relationship into perspective compared to other relationships, you're allowed to do this. You'll find out that your package is the best package you've got. And to put up with that package, just say thank you, that this is what I have to put up with. And this might not be the ideal place to have a relationship from. You don't want to put up with your spouse. But before you can do good, you have to stay away from bad. And to stay away from bad, you have to do whatever it takes to stay away from bad. Like we say, Sur Mera, King David says, leave evil, Vaseh Tov, and do good. You can't do good while you're still preoccupied with evil. You can't clean your boots if you're still standing in the puddle of mud. You have to first step out of the puddle of mud. Whatever it takes, even if it means jumping and getting a little dirtier. We're not saying these are the ideals in which to build a relationship, but you have to first get out of the mud in order to build something good. So, B'ezras Hashem, we're getting out of the mud, and we're building something very beautiful together. Everyone have a beautiful day.
I hope you have an amazing day.